Hashiba was a degenerate loser who was forced to ask out the most popular girl in school. However, when she says yes to his riz, every other girl in school now wants a piece of his meat.
Ow, I'm gonna eat you up. Let's see how long you last.
Hashiba's torture started when he resumed a new semester and realized that he still had his V card, and his three degenerate friends, Shinpei, Keigo, and Minoru, were no exceptions. Deep down, Hashiba wishes he would at least get laid, and the cuddly couples in class makes things worse for him. But while he's feeling bad for himself, his childhood friend Nin shows up with nuclear milkers hanging on her chest. Apparently, she wants to give him his lunch, and after she leaves, Hashiba's friends grow interested in her. However, a pretty lady named Kashi calls Hashiba's attention and tells him she's looking forward to spending the semester with him. This takes Hashiba by surprise, but after Kashi walks away, his friends grow jealous that he's getting all the attention from hot chicks. So Shinpei decides to read Corn Mags, since no girl likes him, and he forces Hashiba to join him. Midway through, a chick named Yame shows up, and he immediately throws the magazine away, trying to fool her that it's not his. Regardless, Yame sees through his degeneracy and calls him out for it, not noticing that Hashiba can see up her skirt. Since she's more like a hot shot in class, it hurts Hashiba that he got caught like that, and he wishes Truck-kun esekais him, especially since he's been called a disgusting loser. After Yame leaves the class, Hashiba lightens up and walks into his friends, who are drooling over how hot Yame is. They end up picking him as their lab rat to ask Yame out, insisting that he might just get laid if he begs her well enough. However, Hashiba refuses, and they restrain him while Keigo heads off to deliver a letter to Yame. Later, Yame reads the letter and ends up canceling an outing with her friend Ranko so she can meet Hashiba. When she finally shows up, Hashiba almost wets his pants since he was expecting her to snub him, but the thought of clapping her gives him the courage to beg her to become his girlfriend. Yame, on the other hand, finds it disgusting that he's begging her, especially since she caught him reading that magazine earlier. As Hashiba is about to cry over remaining with his V card for the rest of his life, he sees everything under Yame's skirt, which makes him realize there's still something he can do. Even when he's asked to stand up, he refuses because it'll prevent him from seeing her plot armor. Curious, Yame asks why he likes her, and he freezes since he can't exactly say it's because he wants to smash, so he lies. But Yame figures him out and assumes he's only eager to clap her and swipe his V card. Regardless, Hashiba pushes further, refusing to stand, so Yame decides to squat, making him lose access to seeing her plot armor. This time, Yame slightly shows him her milkers and reminds him that there's no one around and anything can happen. But as all the blood in Hashiba's head leaves for somewhere else, he tries to peek at her plot armor, and Yame makes fun of him. Turns out it was all a trap to prove he's just a desperate thirsty guy out to clap anything he sees. With all hope lost, Hashiba accepts his fate and proceeds to leave, only for Yame to drag him back and tell him she likes him. She even agrees to become his girlfriend, leaving Hashiba completely shocked. At night, Hashiba lies in bed, wondering why Yame agreed to become his girlfriend after everything that happened between them. It doesn't make sense to him that someone as hot as that, with giant milkers, would choose him, so he begins doubting everything. Deep down, he thinks Yame just wants to make a fool out of him, while his other mind thinks otherwise and tells him that such a mindset is what caused them not to get laid in forever. This hits a nerve, and it causes him to think about having a full-blown relationship with Yame. One day, after class, Yame stays back with Hashiba and begins to take off her clothes when she sees that no one's watching. Hashiba can't believe his eyes when he sees her milkers on display, and he almost gives up the ghost when Yame teases his neck. But just as he's about to slide into her, he slides out of bed and hits his head on the floor, painfully realizing that it was all a dream. Later that morning, Hashiba seems worried on his way to school, because now he has to deal with the fact that he's dating Yame. He even considers avoiding her, but before he can process that thought, Shinpei and the others stop by to see what's up. Shinpei apologizes to Hashiba for what he did yesterday and then asks how it went with Yame. However, Yame doesn't come clean about what happened, and the guys end up thinking that things didn't work out with Yame at all. They begin cheering him up, promising to be there for him no matter what, only for Yame to send a hot selfie of herself in a robe. This shocks everyone, and that's when Hashiba recalls that he exchanged contacts with Yame yesterday. As he tries to explain himself, his friends turn on him and walk away, calling him a traitor. Shinpei only stops to ask Hashiba if he's kissed Yame already, and when Hashiba says no, Shinpei tells him that girls frequently kiss the guy they like. This makes Hashiba fantasize about kissing Yame, so Shinpei speaks of a plan to make things go smoothly. He tells Hashiba to invite Yame to karaoke, which is an easy way to be alone in a room with a chick. He then speaks of a forbidden rule which, if followed, will allow a guy to smash any chick he is with in the karaoke room. According to Shinpei, Hashiba will have to pick plotful songs to sing, then a duet, followed by taking clothes off and developing plot with Yame. Mere explaining this causes him to collapse from nosebleeds, so before he gives up the ghost, he tells Hashiba to make sure his death is not in vain. When Hashiba arrives in class, he wonders how he'll ask Yame out for a karaoke session, but he snaps out of his thoughts the moment Kashi asks what's up with him. Hashiba says everything is fine and tries to slip away from her, despite her asking to be of help. Suddenly, Yame shows up, and Kashi gets jealous as she sees Yame's milkers all over Hashiba. So she curiously asks why they've gotten so close, only for Yame to reveal that they are dating. Everyone in class is shocked after hearing this, and that's how Hashiba lost his opportunity to ask Yame out for the karaoke thing. He even notices that his friends are avoiding him and chases after them to ask what's up. Apparently, they just found out about his relationship status, and they are pained that he gets to go out with someone that hot. Shinpei wishes Hashiba dies in a fire, while Minoru just wants to know if Yame has any younger sisters, because his crushes tend to be stuck in single digits. After Shinpei and the others walk away, Yame shows up and asks Hashiba to spend some quality time with her. Meanwhile, Nin, who has been waiting to join Hashiba back home, wonders why he's holding hands with Yame. When she discovers that he's in a relationship with Yame, she runs away in tears. After that, Hashiba wonders where Yame is taking him, and is shocked to hear that they're going to a karaoke spot. On reaching there, he recalls all that Shinpei said earlier about getting a room and taking her clothes off. As he crashes out thinking about what he'll sing to set the mood, Yame leads him to a room, and his nervousness worsens. However, a warning on the wall states that no plot development is allowed, and this makes Hashiba realize that Shinpei was right about the place all along. Then Yame shows up with drinks, and Hashiba assumes that Yame isn't the kind of girl who would just skip to kissing him. But he changes his mind when she flashes her milkers at him, and he begins to wonder if she wants him to make a move first. Immediately, a fantasy kicks in where Yame sits on him and teases him. But he snaps back into reality when he sees that Yame is just acting like her usual self and enjoying a song. He realizes that he shouldn't think things too hard and just join her to have some fun. But the problem of the right song to sing bothers him since he's an otaku who just knows anime songs. To his shock, the next song Yame picks is straight from anime, and the good thing is that he knows it. This time, he joins her to sing, and when they're done, Yame suggests singing a duet. Right then, Hashiba freaks out since singing a duet leads to other things, and his mood worsens when Yame begins to take off her clothes since the room is getting warm. Deep down in Hashiba's mind, he receives a lecture about how he's supposed to become a man and how Yame is the one right for the job. Meanwhile, in reality, Hashiba wonders why Yame invited him out and if she had any intentions of letting him clap her. Once he ticks all the boxes, he makes up his mind to attack, so he puts Yame in a corner and stares into her eyes, hoping to steal a kiss. However, his heart is crushed into a million pieces when Yame tells him that there's hair sticking out of his nose. As Hashiba wishes to be struck by lightning, Yame excuses herself to the restroom, and it appears that what she said earlier was a lie. She only said it to make Hashiba back away from kissing her. Finally, when she's done, she leaves the spot with Hashiba, who is still sulking over what happened in there, and he even begins cussing his nose hair for sticking out. However, he calms down when Yame tells him she had fun and would like to go out with him again. As she talks to him, her friend Ranko remains hidden and watches everything from a distance, growing pissed. A few days later, Hashiba stops by his locker and is shocked to see a love letter from some chick. When his friends find out, they shed tears, wondering why all the good things are happening to him and not them. Shinpei even demands the letter, hoping to have a word with whoever wrote it, but Hashiba says there's no name on the letter, so he doesn't know who's behind it. He thinks it might be a prank, but Shinpei and Keigo tell him he must meet the person to be sure it isn't. Though Hashiba feels skeptical about it since he's already in a relationship with Yame, Shinpei tells him he'll be hurting another girl's feelings if he ignores the letter. Hashiba thinks it through and can already imagine Yame scolding him for ignoring another girl, so Shinpei starts cheering him on. This shocks Keigo since he was previously jealous, but Shinpei tells him that if Hashiba can get serious with Yame, Nin, and this new chick, then they might have a chance with other chicks. This excites Keigo, and he begins cheering for Hashiba to go ahead and meet this new chick. Later, after school, he finds that it's Ranko who is behind the letter, and she's just as hot as Yame. Her hotness causes Hashiba to sweat profusely, and it gets worse when Ranko walks closer and flashes her milkers at him. Deep down, Hashiba can tell that she's plotting a different plot twist, and all that's left is to twist her. But his heart races out of control when she rubs her milkers against him. Ranko tells him no one is watching, and that they can get freaky right there, so Hashiba mistakenly slips and falls on the floor. This allows Ranko to jump on him and show him all the advantages that come with dating her. But after taking off his zipper, Yame shows up and finds him getting too excited with Ranko. This pisses her off, and she turns around to walk away, but her mood changes when she turns around and sees that it's Ranko. Ranko apologizes, saying that she's only playing with Hashiba, while Hashiba is shocked that Yame Uno reversed just like that. He realizes that both chicks are friends and is forced to watch as Ranko fondles Yame's thick milkers. While it goes down, something gets soaking wet, while all the blood leaves Hashiba's brain, forcing something to rise. But before his zipper can burst, Yame snaps out of it and drags Hashiba home. As they pass, Ranko gets furious while Yame tells Hashiba that Ranko is the dangerous type. As for Ranko, she swears to destroy their relationship. Later that night, Hashiba receives a text from Yame, telling him that they should go out with Ranko sometime. Hashiba gets excited at the thought of being out with both ladies, thinking it means he'll get to fiddle with two at once, but they end up going to an arcade where they only get to play games. While they are at it, Nin sees Hashiba with Yame and Ranko, and runs off pissed, thinking he's now dating both of them. Later, while the chicks are shopping, Yame picks a dress and asks Hashiba what he thinks of it, and he begins to fantasize about her milkers in that outfit and ends up picking it. One time, the ladies change into an outfit, but rather than complimenting her for looking so good, Hashiba locks eyes with Yame's milkers and forgets himself. This pisses Ranko off, but she stays quiet about her feelings. After the time at the mall, they all leave the place to head home, only to be interrupted by some thirsty guys asking for directions. Yame tries to help them, but Hashiba gets a bad feeling about it and tells the guys to back off. Even when the guys threaten to clap him too, he tells them Yame is his girlfriend and that they should back off, but he ends up getting tossed to the ground. However, Ranko decides to take them up on their offer and lead the way to a place where they can have a good time, only for her to show up 2 seconds later like nothing happened. She claims she just had a little chat with the guys. Meanwhile, their bodies lie unconscious in an alley. After everything, Hashiba walks home alone and hates himself for not being able to do anything against those guys from earlier. He calls himself a pathetic loser and realizes that he'll need to get strong enough to at least protect Yame. However, he snaps out of his thoughts when he bumps into Ranko in front of his house. When asked why she's there, Ranko says she wants to personally thank him for standing up for her against those guys earlier. She says she likes him and then drags him inside his house to talk about how she'll reward him.
Yeah, boy.
Things get interesting when Ranko jumps on Hashiba, and this time she makes it clear that she's out to make him become a man. As Hashiba tries to claim that he's a loyal boyfriend, she silences him with her milkers and blames him for making her get so hungry. She argues that Yame only makes things hard for him and does nothing to calm him down, but promises to swipe his V-card here and now. Currently, all the brain cells in Hashiba's head have exploded from excitement, and it gets worse when Ranko tries to strip. However, with only 2 surviving brain cells, he stops her and tells her that he only wants Yame to swipe his V-card. Hearing this annoys Ranko further, so she chokes him, tosses him to the floor, and tells him to keep his sausage away from Yame. She gives his V-card the middle finger and begins to wonder why Yame picked him in the first place, when she has been best friends with her since they were kids. Not wanting to let Hashiba have Yame all to himself, she tears off his clothes and promises to ride until he forgets that Yame exists. But before she can take off her plot armor, Yame shows up, and Ranko becomes worried because Yame must have heard what she said. But seeing that Yame is just her usual self, she calms down and jokes that Hashiba lacks the wits to do anything freaky with her. She claims she was just testing him, but Yame tells her to calm down with the tests. She then thanks her for looking out for her relationship and tells her she loves her. On hearing this, Ranko recalls her childhood with Yame and begins shedding tears in the present. But the next day, she drops the sad girl act and pins Hashiba in a corner, threatening to chop off his sausage if he tells Yame the truth about her feelings. Meanwhile, Kashi watches them from a distance and can't believe that he went ahead to be with someone other than her. Kashi was a bright student with good grades, shape, and eyes, but she felt like the world revolved around her and saw all her friends as minions. She pretended to act cool around others, but she noticed something different about Hashiba when they met at first. Back then, she saw him as her dog and wanted to get closer to him. Presently, it's nighttime, and while other sensible humans are sleeping, Hashiba burns the night candle researching to understand the nature of women. While surfing the internet with hand lotion, he sees an OnlyFans model with huge milkers and realizes that he needs more tissue and lotion. The next one he sees begins taking off her plot armor, and he tries to convince himself that he's only watching for research purposes. Finally, he gives in and texts a model, telling her how cute she is, and he turns off his computer because he's shy. The following day at school, Kashi shows up as usual, seeing her friends only as servants while faking that she's a good girl. Once she settles in, Hashiba enters the class, and she notices that he's grabbing all the attention. Keigo mentions something about seeing a cute OnlyFans girl on his stream last night, and Shinpei loses his mind when he sees her. Hashiba sees the chick and realizes she's the same person he saw last night. On taking another look at the model's picture, Shinpei realizes that he's seen someone like that before, but he runs out of brain cells when he tries to remember who she is. At break time, Hashiba joins Yame for lunch, and he gets nervous at the thought of sharing a meal with her. He begins to fantasize about getting fed and having another opportunity to kiss Yame. Once he regains himself in reality, he considers the possibility of his fantasy coming to life, but he fears that nothing will happen since Ranko is beside Yame, chugging a huge sausage in her mouth. The way she eats it makes him think she's got something rolled up her sleeves, but Kashi shows up out of the blue, seeking Hashiba's immediate attention. Ranko doesn't hold back as she acts rude and tells Kashi to get lost. This makes Kashi feel bad, so she apologizes for intruding and turns around to leave. As she walks, Hashiba feels bad for her and tries to find out what's up. Meanwhile, it was all a plan on Kashi's part to play the pity card and gain his attention no matter what. Kashi senses something off and questions Hashiba if he has anything with Kashi, but he denies it. Regardless, deep down, Ranko doesn't buy the good girl act from Kashi and begins to get a bad feeling about her. Once class is over, Yame tells Hashiba that she's going to hang out with her friends, and Hashiba feels down since they won't be together. Right when Yame leaves, Kashi shows up behind Hashiba, insisting that a lecturer asked her to get some things, and she'd like his help. The pretty girl's face she pulls on him makes it hard for Hashiba to resist, and he ends up going out with her anyway. But rather than go to a normal store, Hashiba finds himself at a romantic restaurant with Kashi, sitting like they're a couple on a date. He wonders how it came to this, but Kashi only tells him to place an order so they can eat. However, instead of seeing the obvious, Hashiba just thinks that Kashi might be ignoring her lecturer and slacking off in her grades. He thinks nothing is harmful about his outing with her, but then begins to realize that there are some girls who put up a serious front but are thirsty thoughts deep down. To his surprise, Kashi leaves her side of the table and decides to sit beside him, telling him about how no one comes to this restaurant and how they have all the room in the world. She takes up her skirt and crosses her legs on his, telling him that they can get as loud as they want and no one would hear them. Seeing her state, he decides to give in despite her being flat on both sides, but it's all a fantasy he made up in his mind.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no.
In reality, he's served coffee while Kashi proceeds to ask him about his relationship with Yame. She wants to be sure if their relationship is serious, and when Hashiba confirms that it is, she mentions she never thought he'd get along with a chick like that. She believed that a calm, mature girl, referring to herself, was more of his type, but it pisses her off that he likes someone else. In the meantime, Shinpei logs on to the OnlyFans website and begins paying to see different holes. But when he sees that cute model from earlier, he takes a closer look and is shocked when he realizes who she is. The following day, Kashi hugs Hashiba in class and thanks him for joining her out yesterday. She makes sure she hugs him in front of Yame to make her feel jealous, while Shinpei secretly records her with his phone and drags Keigo and Minoru out to see something. Here, he plays the recording and a video from that cute girl's OnlyFans, pitching that Kashi and the girl are the same person. The realization shocks the guys, and coincidentally, Ranko is there to find out who Kashi really is behind closed doors. After classes, Yame joins her friends out again, though she feels weird about leaving Hashiba behind with Kashi. This time, when she leaves, Kashi shows up and asks Hashiba for another favor, telling him to follow her somewhere more private. They head to the roof, where Kashi finally drops the act and says she can't take it anymore. She opens up about enjoying his presence and liking him as a person, leaving Hashiba completely shocked. She then proceeds to ask him out, hoping he'd break up with Yame and focus only on her, but Hashiba trembles as he tells her he likes Yame and doesn't want to hurt her. His decision makes Kashi lose her mind as she crashes out, calling him a dog and wondering why he won't just do as she's said. She wants to own him as her pet and doesn't want to see him with another chick. However, when she sees that Hashiba is still firm on his decision, she pulls out a recording from yesterday's date and threatens to expose it if he doesn't break up with Yame. She only promises to delete it if he agrees to date her, and Hashiba becomes confused about what to do. Just when he considers bending to Kashi's plan, Ranko shows up with Shinpei and the other guys and reveals that she was listening all along. She then casually tells Kashi with undeniable proof that she knows who she is, and the chick immediately melts. Eventually, she walks away and hands the recording to Hashiba, and then asks the guys if they know too. Shinpei says yes but adjusts his glasses, saying that he's a man of culture, and that her secret is safe as long as he gets to goon to her content for free. With that, everything's settled, and Hashiba remains clueless about what just happened. Finally, he meets with Yame, and they finally clear the air about the thing with Kashi. A few days later, Hashiba lies in bed smiling because Yame is right on top of him and ready to develop plot. She wonders why he gets so hungry in the morning and wishes to help him out. But midway through, she allows him to examine her milkers, only for him to wake up and realize that he's stuck on Nin's chest cannons. As he regains himself, he calms down, saying that he just needs to understand the situation first. But the smile on Nin's face makes him realize that he isn't dreaming, and he starts to ask who she is. For the first time, Nin tries to tell him how she really feels, but since only 2 brain cells are active, he doesn't understand what she's saying or who she is. Even after she lets the daylight in, Hashiba struggles to recognize her from all that makeup. He even laughs when she reveals that she's Nin, but then he screams when it hits him that Nin isn't supposed to be that hot. Later that morning, Nin follows him to school, pressing her milk jugs on his arm to make everyone think they're already a couple. Hashiba feels uncomfortable about it and tells her to stop, but she ignores him and reminds him that they used to go to school holding hands. Deep down, Hashiba fears Yame seeing him like that, and he freaks out when his friends pull up behind him. Minoru struggles to control himself when he sees Nin, but he backs off when he realizes that she's older. As for Shinpei, he manages to keep up the normal act for a while, but loses it and crashes out on Hashiba for having Yame and a chick like Nin obsessing over him. He wants Hashiba to spill the sauce, or at least introduce him to some chicks, but Hashiba tells him for the millionth time that Nin is an old friend. To make things worse, Nin tightens her grip on Hashiba and presses her milk jugs against him, causing Shinpei and Keigo to pass out from nosebleeds. As they run off to find the nearest restroom and hand lotion, Minoru walks away while Hashiba heads to class. Later, Kashi meets up with Hashiba, who still feels awkward from everything that happened that day. But this time, Kashi apologizes for what she did and begs him not to tell anyone that she tried to ask him out. Hashiba agrees to it, and Kashi sees it as a means to start afresh with him. But when she gets closer, she notices another lady's scent and realizes that he must have been with someone. That's when Nin shows up and acts all clingy with Hashiba, making Kashi wonder if she's the one behind the scent. Nin, on the other hand, playfully teases her for being flat on both sides, insisting that it's the reason Hashiba pumped and dumped her. This strikes a nerve, so as Kashi furiously absorbs all the dark aura to chop off her milk jugs, she's told that lecturers are about to start and ends up calming down. But before leaving, she steps on Hashiba's toes as a warning, and the poor dude is left in a sad mood in class. When Yame shows up, she notices and asks what's up, and he tells her that he's been in trouble since morning. She then hugs him, trying to cheer him up, and then promises to take him somewhere fun for the weekend. His friends watching from a distance fume upset that all the good plotful things are happening to him, and they begin to wonder if they've sinned against God to attract such punishment. As for Minoru, he says he has found the location of all the kids in his location, but Shinpei tells him that pretty soon, fine men dressed in red and blue will show up to pay him a visit, and his only job is to say they don't know each other. During break time, Hashiba shares lunch with Yame as usual, but Ranko is in attendance as well. She watches as Yame feeds Hashiba her meal, and then tells him not to get his hopes too high, since she'll never let them flirt in her presence. However, Nin shows up from nowhere and hugs Hashiba, claiming that she looked everywhere for him. When asked what's up, she says she made him some cookies and then proceeds to feed him. But she licks off his face when she sees something stuck there, and Hashiba grows more uncomfortable as he senses Yame's murderous intent behind him. She's pissed because she hasn't even gotten to kiss him on the cheek, yet some thought with mutated milkers licked his face. Ranko finds the whole situation amusing and proceeds to ask who Nin is. But rather than answer, Hashiba thinks that Yame will break up with him, and he imagines that Renko will give him a WWE-styled finish for being a cheat. However, he snaps back into reality when Yame says she's seen Nin before and recalls that she's like Hashiba's junior sister. Nin says she's not his sister, and she snaps at Yame when she introduces herself as Hashiba's girlfriend. Though she's being rude, Yame lets her off the hook since she's cute, and Nin begins to wonder if she's not womanly enough. She wonders what Yame has that she doesn't have and locks eyes with her milkers. Right then, she shows off hers, trying to make Yame know that she's got the biggest milkers, but Hashiba's worldly desires begin to kick in when he sees their milkers being pressed together. To make things worse, Renko joins the party, and together they examine their milkers, giving Hashiba a sight that billionaires would give their assets to watch. It makes him scream hallelujah, and he begins to wonder why men fight wars in this world when the sight of women's milkers can make the blind see and the deaf hear. But he snaps out of it when Nin stops showing off her milkers. Nin, on the other hand, thinks Yame is just messing with Hashiba, since he can't normally land a chick like that. This makes Yame grow curious to ask Nin why she said that, and Nin says she's known Hashiba since he was a kid. Yame argues that even someone like Hashiba can get a girlfriend, since there are good things about him, but Nin just runs away in tears. At night, Hashiba thinks about everything and realizes that the cute Nin he once knew has turned into a mature lady. As he lies to sleep, Nin creeps on him without her clothes, hoping he'll wake up and develop plot with her. But after feeling her raw milkers and having a series of mental battles, Hashiba covers her up and tells her he can't use her feelings for him to swipe his V card.
What are you doing? What are you doing? No!
Though he feels bad, he says he doesn't want to see Yame sad, and this makes Nin realize that she's way over her league. The following day, Yame notices Hashiba's dull mood and tries to cheer him up, only for Nin to show up again, but this time, she says she'll up her game and make sure she steals him away from Yame. A few plotless days later, Hashiba shows up at school, only for Shinpei to show him a game where he'll get to be closer to the person he likes. Shinpei asks Hashiba if he's made any progress with Yame yet, and when Hashiba says no, he tells him the game is a necessity. Curious, Hashiba asks how he's supposed to play the game, but Shinpei assures him that he'll be there to back him up. The only thing he'll need to do is to get Yame to agree to a get-together at her house, and Hashiba says he'll make it work. So during lunch, he spaces out, wondering how he'll ask her, and ends up not listening to what she's trying to tell him. Apparently, she was talking about summer vacation, how she wanted to go somewhere with him during the break. When Hashiba catches on, he says he'll go anywhere with her, but must first make sure that the get-together thing works. He summons the courage to ask if he could show up at her place after school that day, and Yame becomes surprised since it's the first time he's asking. She thinks maybe he wants to smash her, only for this dude to say he wants to invite Renko, Nin, and the rest of his friends. This pisses Yame off, and Hashiba begins to wonder why her mood changed all of a sudden. Meanwhile, Kashi watches them from a distance. After school, Hashiba prepares to leave alone since Yame went ahead to change first, as he's coming over to her place. As he figures out that they'll be alone for a while before their friends show up, he smiles, seeing it as an opportunity to finally make a move on her. He fantasizes about Yame taking off her clothes and showing him why she's called the throat goat, but snaps back into reality when Kashi shows up. When asked what's up, Kashi tells him she's free for the rest of the day, and when Hashiba says nothing, she insists that she has nothing else to do. She ends up forcing Hashiba into a corner and only backs off when Hashiba finally invites her over to Yame's house. She agrees and uses it as a means to exchange contacts with Hashiba, so he'll text her Yame's address. Fast forward to an hour later, Hashiba pulls up at Yame's house, and she makes him wait in front of her bedroom since she wants to freshen up. While she's at it, Hashiba's intrusive thoughts kick in, and he decides that he'll take a peek at her. But when he summons the courage to do it, Yame opens the door and invites him in. He is impressed when he sees her room, but what entertains him most is how lightly she's dressed. Pretty fast, his eyes are glued on her plots, and he apologizes when he's caught in the act. Despite that, Yame gets freaky and tells him that if he likes her plots so much, he can have as much as he wants since there's no one in the house. This sends chills down Hashiba's spine as he prepares to develop plot with Yame for the first time. But his plans are flushed down the toilet when Renko shows up with Nin and Kashi for the get-together. Renko smiles, questioning what was about to happen, but Yame brushes it off, saying that she was just stretching, and that Hashiba lacks the wits to do anything to her. Nin, on the other hand, grabs onto Hashiba, insisting that her plots are for his use anytime. But out of jealousy, Kashi knocks him out with a deadly kick, claiming that she was just passing through. About an hour later, Hashiba's friends show up, and they are dressed to kill, especially Shinpei, who looks forward to taking advantage of this truth or dare game. As Hashiba recovers from the shock, he introduces his friends to the girls and they all sit around a table. At the right time, Shinpei mentions the game, and Kashi starts to suspect that something sus might happen. Though this is Shinpei's plan, he brushes it off, saying that it's just a game. However, Nin catches on that he is lying, but she looks forward to playing the game, since it means that she might get to do some things with Hashiba. Ranko feels the same way too, because she wants to have her way with Yame at least, and Shinpei is positive that a happy ending is sure. At the right time, he begins the game, and since Keigo is king, he makes Ranko give Hashiba a dirty slap. Shinpei smiles as this happens, as he hopes to fool everyone under the pretense of a normal game by having everyone do normal things first. In the next round, Yame becomes king, and she makes Kashi act cute and introduce herself. Though she's shy at first, she goes on with it since the game is absolute, and everyone laughs hard at her cute side. For the next round, she becomes king, and she makes Nin do a sus pose. Nin, who has been waiting for an opportunity like this, takes things a bit too far and reveals her milk jugs, trying to seduce Hashiba. Shinpei and Keigo's eyes almost pop out as they struggle to catch a view, but Kashi ruins things for them and drags Nin away. As time goes on, they continue playing the game and everyone has fun, until it's time for the final round where Shinpei plays to make Hashiba kiss Yame, while he'll kiss one of the other girls. Before the final round, Hashiba begins to get second thoughts about kissing Yame publicly, so he sabotages the game to make sure he doesn't get to kiss Yame and that Shinpei doesn't get to kiss any of the girls. With that, Shinpei becomes king again, and he thinks he's going to get to kiss the girls, only for him to realize that Hashiba is his kissing partner. He screams, knowing that there's nothing he can do about it, so he embraces the rainbow for 2 seconds and faints right after the deed is done. In the end, Yame thanks Hashiba for saving the girls, and she suggests that they all go on a trip for the summer vacation as friends. Hashiba looks forward to it, but he's shocked when it hits him that Yame wants everyone else to join the trip. Now, everyone looks forward to the trip, so they decide to spend a part of their break working so they can afford it. About 41 days to the summer trip, Shinpei and the other guys share a toast because they'll get to go to the beach with the girls. As for Hashiba, he is worried about the money for the trip because he's broke, but Shinpei reveals that he has plans to take care of that. Apparently, he's secured part-time jobs for them, and he'll be joining Keigo to work at an anime store, while Minoru will work at a daycare. As for Hashiba, he gets to work at a maid cosplay cafe, and it shocks him because he thinks he'll be wearing a maid outfit. However, Shinpei clarifies things and tells him he'll be kitchen staff. They all become excited as they've secured jobs, and they begin working right away. About 11 days later, Shinpei and Keigo resume work at the anime store, where they sort out sus magazines and other related items. Their boss seems hard on them and doesn't look back as he assigns them lots of bookshelves to arrange. The workload almost hospitalizes Shinpei, and he ends up walking home with a walking stick. As for Keigo, he almost regrets working at the anime shop, but the mere thought of going to the beach with the girls prevents him from quitting. The following day, Nin prepares to leave for work and looks forward to sleeping with Hashiba at the beach. Later that morning, Hashiba shows up at the maid cosplay cafe, and the girls welcome him, calling him master. This takes him by surprise since Yame, Ranko, and the other girls work here, while Nin just thinks he came all the way to see her. At the back, Ranko pulls Kashi aside, teasing her and asking if she's happy that Hashiba came over to see her, but she claims otherwise. In the meantime, Yame tells Hashiba that the cafe hasn't opened yet, but she's shocked to hear that he's working there, since it might mean that he'll be in a maid cosplay outfit. Though the other girls would love to behold such a sight, Hashiba ruins the fun by saying that he's only kitchen staff and not a maid. Then their manager shows up, and he begins to smile as he checks out the girls' outfits. He finds them attractive and spends too much time eyeing Yame's milkers, but after everything, he compliments them and tells Hashiba to get working immediately. Once the cafe opens, the place racks up customers within minutes, and the girls are forced to attend to them. One customer falls in love with Yame and begs her to cast a magic spell on his meal, and she does, making him grow more excited. The same thing goes for Nin as a customer falls for her massive milk jugs and begins telling her about how he'd never stop coming to this cafe, just like you disgusting losers watching this video. Later, Kashi heads off to attend to a customer, only to trip and fall midway through, raising her skirt up and leaving her plot armor on display. This makes her feel embarrassed, but rather than feel sorry for her, a thirsty customer wishes she could keep falling so he'll see her plots. A customer sees that Renko is on duty, so he purposely spills his drink so she'll clean it up. As expected, she shows up and cleans the table while bending over, giving the customer an unplotted view of her milk jugs. Since he can't get enough of her, he decides to make her clean his zipper. But after seeing his rising sausage, Renko gets mad and gives him the beating of his life, making him regret why he showed up today. About 5 days later, Shinpei goes OP at his workplace and finishes all the tasks assigned to him. The fact that the beach outing is approaching motivates him, and even Keigo struggles to keep up with his work rate. A few days pass and Hashiba heads to work, only to bump into Kashi when she's changing. Before he can explain himself, he gets a hot slap on his face because Kashi can't believe he wasn't trying to peek at her. She claims she hates all the maid outfits she's been forced to wear lately and wonders why their manager has weird tastes. Fast forward 5 days, and the AC in the cafe stops working, forcing Yame to sweat and take off 2 buttons from her shirt. Hashiba enjoys the sight, but what interests him more is when she takes his water to drink. Once she's done, he prepares to drink from the bottle, excited that he gets to kiss her indirectly. But when he's about to drink, Renko enters and he mistakenly lets the bottle fall to the ground and Renko steps on it. 2 days later, Shinpei is promoted at his workplace and his boss leaves him to manage the rest of the staff while he's away. For some reason, Shinpei seems a bit too hyped about the promotion, and he looks forward to boosting the store's sales to the top. His optimism makes Keigo suspect that he's planning something in the dark, but he doesn't know what it is yet. As the days go by, everyone carries out their work routine, and Shinpei sneaks off to buy guns one night. One evening, Hashiba returns home after a long day at work and realizes that tomorrow will be his last day. Before passing out, he recalls that there will be an event at his job tomorrow. Meanwhile, his manager is up planning something sus. The next morning, when Hashiba shows up at work, Yame tells him it's Book Girl Day, where all the maids will wear sus uniforms and read novels in front of their customers. Kashi shows up with the other girls shortly after, and she picks up one of the novels to check it out. On reading it, she turns red because what's written inside involves something sliding into another, so she walks away pissed. In her absence, Min decides to read from one of the books and finds that it's similar to what Kashi read, only that instead of things sliding in and out, something is fondling someone else's milkers. Hearing Min read the book almost drives Hashiba mad, but Renko takes over and makes sure she imitates all the cultural sounds from the book. As Hashiba realizes that something within him is rising, he wonders what he'll do, only for Yame to grab a book and start narrating the freaky things written inside. When she gets to the part where 2 girls are about to play scissor, Hashiba loses it and tells her to stop, which pisses Renko off. Right then, their manager walks in and asks if they've picked any book of their liking, but Hashiba says it's wrong for the girls to read such things to the customers. This pisses the manager off, but before he can lash out at Hashiba, Kashi enters the room with a call from the owner of the cafe. After the manager takes it, his mood changes, and he ends up canceling the event for today, while still needing to pay the girls for it, thanks to Kashi. In the end, everyone applauds Kashi for what she did, and Yame joins Hashiba on his way home, excited that she didn't have to read the novels. She seems very happy to be walking with Hashiba, and looks forward to spending lots of time with him. She even tells him that she'd like to go somewhere private when they get to the beach next week, and Hashiba looks forward to it. Finally, the time everyone has been waiting for shows up, and they arrive at the beach. Shinpei and the guys are most excited to be here because they'll get to see all types of plots and how they fit in bikinis, while Nin thinks she'll finally get Hashiba in her pocket. She jumps on him and tries to remind him what her milk jugs feel like, but Hashiba snaps out of it the moment Yame shows up in her swimsuit. Her outfit takes him by surprise, and he likes that it fits, and that he too will fit.
What do you mean by that?
With that, their outing begins, and everyone looks forward to having fun. Later that afternoon, Min performs squats since she looks like the letter P, while Shinpei foolishly follows her up and down movements. As for Kashi, she lies down expecting Hashiba to spend some time with her, but she gets jealous when the dude runs off to play with chicks with bigger milkers than hers. Deep down, it hurts, and she considers paying a visit to a surgeon to make something bigger and soft, while Hashiba spends time making Yame and Renko get wet. Soon, Nin joins in the fun and hugs Hashiba from behind, telling him not to forget about her. But while her milkers make him lose his mind, Kashi shows up because she doesn't want to be defeated by her ops. As the girls have fun with Hashiba, Keigo and the guys wonder what's going on, since they haven't been able to land a chick yet. Though this is the case, Shinpei thinks his condition isn't that bad at all, since it means he gets to see and record different girls on his camera. He enjoys the view, and for the first time, he appreciates the beauty of nature, because he'll goon on to them at night. That afternoon, while the girls play a ball game with Hashiba, Renko makes sure to smash the ball on Hashiba's disgusting face, fumbling an excuse that it was instinct. As he recovers, Renko takes Yame to check out the meal plan at an inn, and Kashi stays back with Nin. While Nin builds a sandcastle with Kashi, Hashiba notices two dudes flirting with Yame and Renko and becomes uncomfortable. He walks over to see what's up, only to get jealous seeing Yame laughing at another guy's jokes. Since he doesn't want to believe that she's for the streets, he makes sure she sees him. So she stops talking to the guy and presses her milkers on Hashiba to make them know that she isn't single. Apparently, she didn't like how they were flirting with her, and she's happy that Hashiba showed up to save her. After that, the girls thank Shinpei and Keigo for watching their stuff, but they advise them to go on and have fun. This hits a nerve and reminds Shinpei of how miserable he is, so he leaves with Keigo to see what he can do. In his absence, Yame and Renko beg Hashiba to rub sunscreen on their backs, and the thought makes Hashiba's worldly desires go wild. So as the girls lie in position to get oiled up, Hashiba gets to work, and his mere touch makes the girls let out cultural sounds. Witnessing his skills, Renko begins to doubt that he still has his V-card, and she wishes for him to do more, while Hashiba struggles to keep all the blood in his brain. Elsewhere, Keigo loses all the hopes he had of getting laid, but Shinpei cheers him up because they are passing the night on the beach, meaning that something good can still happen. All they have to do is convince Hashiba to go along with their plan, so that evening, they open up to him about what they are planning. At night, the girls dress in robes, preparing to take a dip in the hot spring, while the guys listen closely to know when to strike. As soon as they leave, Shinpei reveals the supplies he spent all his money buying, which include guns, night vision goggles, as well as bulletproof vests for his mission. His objective is to spy on the girls while they're in the hot spring, but Hashiba feels skeptical about it. As he argues that peeking is a crime, Shinpei counters, saying that it's a sin not to peek at beautiful girls, especially when they're without clothes. He believes that a man who doesn't do it is a failure, and to get Hashiba more convinced, he promises an opportunity for him to see her unplotted milkers. Despite everything, Hashiba makes up his mind that he won't do it, but he joins them to sabotage their mission. In the meantime, the ladies enjoy their time at the hot spring, while Renko heads to the balcony to catch a good view of the city. Kashi fears that someone might see her from there, but Renko turns it down since the inn boasts of having the best security around the women's section. The innkeeper told her that it was impossible for anyone to peek, so after hearing this, Kashi and the other girls let their guard down to join Renko. After catching a good view of the city, they return to the water, where Renko begins to fondle Yame's milkers until she climaxes. Up next is Nin, who almost faints when Renko says she wants to give her milkers a medical checkup. Yame joins in on the fun, and Nin can't help but let out cultural sounds as things go down. Kashi, on the other hand, feels bad that she's not getting any attention, but Yame grabs her tiny milkers to make her feel better. What they don't know is that Shinpei is leading a shady operation, and that he intends to view their plots. As he charges through the woods, the night vision goggles allow him to see a trap the innkeeper set last night, so he tells his crew to be careful of it. But when Hashiba is about to cross, he purposely triggers the trap to make Shinpei turn back, but Bro deactivates it. Apparently, Shinpei set the trap ahead of time since he didn't trust Hashiba. Now that Hashiba has betrayed the crew, he finds himself running away and dodging bullets until he trips off a cliff and falls into a lake. With him out of the equation, Shinpei resumes his mission to peek at the chicks, but Keigo falls into a pit on the way. Turns out, that's a real trap, and even after Shinpei helps him up, he almost gets Ice Guy Ed by another trap up front. This terrifies Keigo so much that he opts to quit the mission, but Shinpei reminds him that where there's a hole, there's a goal. He tells Keigo to man up and get things done. So Bro follows him until they get isekai'd by explosive traps. The explosion turns into fireworks, and the girls enjoy the sight, not knowing that Keigo and Shinpei are gone. Later that night, Hashiba regains consciousness at the beach and learns that his friends' bodies were found in the mountains. Despite everything, he is grateful that they are alive, so he spends the rest of the night with Yame, and Renko can only watch from a distance. A few days after the beach outing, Yame bumps into an old childhood friend named Dai, and she immediately begins a conversation with him to catch up on old times. Meanwhile, Hashiba is there, and he's forced to listen as Dai showers Yame with lots of compliments for looking pretty. Right then, Dai invites Yame out for lunch with his friends, and she agrees to join him, while Hashiba stands there like an NPC, wondering why Dai is hitting on his girlfriend. He becomes jealous seeing that Dai is cute, and he's getting along with Yame. But the thought of them being together makes him act invisible, until Dai notices him and asks who he is. That's when Yame remembers to introduce Hashiba as her boyfriend, but even though she plants her milkers on him, Dai smiles inside, intending to sample her milkers when the time comes. After the conversation with Dai, Yame heads off with Hashiba, and on the way, Hashiba can't shake the thought that something happened between Yame and Dai in the past. He begins to fantasize about a time when Dai must have kissed and clapped Yame, but the thought almost makes him smash his head on a nearby pole. Yame wonders what's up with him and holds him to make him feel better, but Hashiba interprets it as a mere act to throw his suspicions off guard. Curious, he brings up Dai and begins to yap about how the guy is bigger and better looking than he is. This makes Yame wonder if he's jealous, but Hashiba questions her if she was embarrassed to introduce him as her boyfriend earlier. This question throws Yame off guard and annoys her at the same time, so she quits the stroll with Hashiba and walks home alone. At night, Hashiba watches Kashi's OnlyFans livestream, where she talks about going to the beach with her friends during the break, but this dude still doesn't realize who she is. The next day at school, Shinpei can't keep his mouth shut about how he enjoyed the summer trip, but he calms down when he sees Hashiba crying in class. Worried, Shinpei asks what's going on, and he opens up to them about yesterday. After hearing everything, Shinpei is moved to tears because he believes that Dai has a magic sausage that makes women grovel at his feet. While he tries to explain the concept, Yame enters the class, and Hashiba tries to gain her attention, only for her to snub him and face her friends. Seeing this firsthand makes Shinpei realize that Hashiba needs to figure out how Yame feels before it's too late. After class, Hashiba tries to talk to Yame again, and he gets snubbed. But rather than give up, he decides that he'll wait until the last class is over before trying again. Eventually, when classes are done, he tries again, and he gets snubbed, but he chases after her to at least gain her attention. Once she replies to him, he begs that they go home together, but she tells him she's going out with her friends and leaves without allowing him to complete his statement. Hashiba is left in tears as he watches her walk away, and he wonders what to do next. Meanwhile, his friends pull up behind him with smiles on their faces. Shinpei takes them to a karaoke spot to sing out their sorrows, but Hashiba ends up drooling over a chick on screen, thinking it's Yame. After getting slapped back to reality, Shinpei tells him to get a hold of himself since tomorrow he'll need to grovel before Yame and beg for forgiveness. Though the plan sounds reasonable, Hashiba wonders why he's begging in the first place since he doesn't understand how Yame feels, but Shinpei insists that he begs regardless. After singing his heart out, Hashiba returns from the karaoke spot, only to see Yame sitting and laughing with Dai in what looks like a date setting. The sight of them together makes him spirit away in the form of sand into another universe, so when he reincarnates back the next day, he begins to wonder if Yame was playing with his feelings the whole time. As he considers the possibility, his heart begins to ache, but Yame shows up in high spirits and tries to talk to him like yesterday didn't happen. Meanwhile, Hashiba grows irritated as he reckons that she got pumped last night, and he hates that she's smiling with him. Curious, he asks about yesterday and brings up the fact that she was with Dai at a restaurant. In Yame's defense, she says that she stayed back after the get-together yesterday because Dai wanted to talk to her about something. Despite that, Hashiba thinks she's lying and ends up asking if she had fun playing with his feelings. He grows emotional as he tells her to stop messing with him and then runs away after seeing the look on Yame's face. Later in school, Kashi notices that Hashiba is not on speaking terms with Yame, so she stops by after class to have a word with Hashiba. Here, she asks him what's up with his relationship, and he mentions feeling like Yame doesn't like him. He feels Yame is just messing with him, but this upsets Kashi as she recalls seeing them together at the beach. She calls Hashiba a disgusting loser for thinking that way about Yame and walks away after calling him a selfish person. Around sunset, Hashiba walks home, wondering what he should do, only for Nin to jump on him. When she notices his dull mood, she asks what's up and learns about the thing with Yame. After hearing everything, she tells Hashiba to stop moping around or he'll become uncool and end up marrying her. At night, Hashiba sits alone, thinking about all the advice he's received today. He even listens to Kashi's livestream as she yaps about how she likes someone in her class, but the person is too selfish. Though she almost cries on stream and reveals things that would make a normal person know her identity, Hashiba remains clueless, but he realizes that he'll need his friends' help to fix his relationship. The following day, Yame tries to open up with Ranko and the girls, but the moment she tries talking, tears roll down her eyes. Immediately, Ranko storms off to beat Hashiba to a pulp, because she already threatened to unalive him if he broke Yame's heart. When she finds Hashiba, he admits to being an ugly, disgusting loser, but ultimately tells her that he'll face Yame and apologize for the hurtful things he said to her. This calms Ranko down as she previously wanted to beat him up. But Hashiba grows pissed when Dai enters the restaurant with his friends, bragging about how Yame will be easy and how he'll pass her around when he's done with her. For the first time, Hashiba grows a pair and confronts Dai to make him take his words back. One of Dai's friends wonders who Hashiba is, and they end up giggling when Dai reveals that he's Yame's lame boyfriend. Despite the embarrassment, Hashiba tells Dai to take back everything he said about Yame, but Dai's friends get pissed and threaten to beat him up. They only calm down on Dai's mark, but rather than listen, Dai goes ahead to call Yame a cheap girl. This pisses Hashiba off, and from the way he behaves, Dai easily figures out that his V-card hasn't been swiped yet. He laughs at Hashiba, claiming that Yame is playing him, and this pisses Hashiba off so much that he grabs him by the neck, telling Dai to take back his words. He admits still having his V-card and is okay with being called a loser, but he makes it clear that he won't stand the insults to Yame. Seeing his seriousness, Dai brushes Hashiba off and tells him to join him outside so they can settle things like men. Outside, Hashiba stands surrounded by multiple guys, and he's countered when he tries to punch Dai in the face. While he recovers, Dai boasts about being able to beat him up even with his eyes closed, but he falls victim to a spear from Hashiba. Once on the floor, Hashiba locks Dai's leg and bites it, threatening to keep at it until Dai takes his words back. Despite the kicks and multiple hits from Dai and his friends, Hashiba keeps biting the leg until Dai eventually promises to apologize. But the moment Hashiba lets go of him, Dai kicks him in the face and laughs, saying that it was all a lie. While he beats Hashiba up, he promises to use Yame as a tool and dump her when he wants. Meanwhile, Hashiba swears that he'll never let Dai anywhere near Yame. As he tries to recover, Ranko shows up and dislocates one of the guy's arms, leaving the other shocked. The first guy who tries to attack her gets tossed around like trash, while some others who surround her are taken care of by Shinpei and his guys. Hashiba is excited when he sees that his friends are there, so he takes the opportunity to run away and apologize to Yame. Once he leaves, Dai tries chasing after him, but Ranko stops him, and it leads to a fight between both sides. Back at the restaurant, Yame sees Hashiba's call, but she hesitates to pick up. However, she leaves a text for Hashiba, telling him that she wants to talk to him about something behind the school. Back at the restaurant, Kashi snaps after hearing everything that happened between Yame and Hashiba, and she calls the dude selfish. Now, Yame is stuck wondering if Hashiba really likes her or not, and Nin tells her Hashiba loves her. However, since Hashiba hasn't made his feelings clear to her yet, Kashi tells Yame not to jump to conclusions until she confirms that Hashiba loves her. The multiple advice lifts Yame's spirits, and she summons the courage to head to school and meet Hashiba. After she leaves, Kashi wonders if it was okay to help her, since she still wants Hashiba for herself, but Nin plays dumb and acts clueless. In the meantime, Ranko, Shinpei, and the other guys finish taking out Dai's guys, leaving their worthless leader behind. Seeing that he's outmatched, he begs for forgiveness, but the moment Ranko's team gets distracted, he runs away and even hits a kid on the way out. Minoru catches the kid and makes sure she's safe, but when he's done, he loses it and prepares to tear Dai to shreds. Fearing the danger, Shinpei and Keigo combine their strengths to hold him down, while Ranko catches Dai and makes him lose lots of his swimmers. After torturing him a bit, she unleashes Minoru on him, and the rest is history. Later that afternoon, Hashiba arrives at school and doesn't see Yame, so he decides to wait until she shows up. He then receives a text from Ranko and giggles when he sees that Dai and his guys have been dealt with. Seconds turn to minutes, and minutes to hours, and no sign of Yame yet. It bothers Hashiba as he begins to recall the times he spent with Yame, beginning from when he asked her out. However, he snaps out of it when Yame shows up, and he immediately lies down like the first time, begging her to go out with him again. He admits being selfish and admits asking her out initially only because he wanted to get laid. Though this shocks Yame, she listens to the point where Hashiba admits he's in love with her and can't imagine a life without her. Curious, she asks him what he fell in love with, and while resisting the urge to say her milkers and the rest of her plot, he tells her he loves her smile and how she always believes in him. He says a couple of sweet things that blow Yame's mind, and she ends up telling him to get up. This time, she smiles and tells him that everything is fine since they are dating already. She also asks him out to a date that evening, and he agrees on the spot. After that, she goes home to change, and when she's done, Hashiba notices that she's wearing the dress he picked for her when they went shopping. He likes how it fits on her and tells her she's pretty, while resisting the urge to bend her over and give her a piece of his sausage. Around sunset, they arrive at an amusement park and Hashiba is glad that he finally got to come here with her. They carry out multiple sets of activities, but stop when Yame leads the way to a photo booth. Once in, Hashiba thinks he'll finally get to kiss Yame since other couples are kissing in the photo booth, so he prepares himself for it. However, his hopes are crushed when Yame pulls out at the last second, forcing him into a weird pose for their picture. After everything, they go outside to catch a view of the city, and Yame hands him one of their pictures together. She's glad she got to spend time with him today and wishes they stay together in the future. But before Hashiba can process that, she grabs and kisses him, then runs away before she can get pregnant. The next day, Kashi and the other girls notice something off about Hashiba and Yame, with Kashi suspecting that something intimate has happened between them. However, Renko fakes a smile and pulls Hashiba aside, promising to unalive him if he's already lost his V-card. After a few weeks, the school celebrates a festival where different guys in class organize cafes and other related stuff to compete amongst themselves. As for Hashiba's class, they are hosting a maid cafe, where lots of their mates stand outside to pay ridiculous amounts of money just to get in. Shinpei is excited at the amount of male customers they are getting, because it means more cash, while some customers are blown away by how freaky Kashi looks. Her cosplay outfit attracts lots of attention from guys, since she's acting sassy, while Yame acts like she's a calm, cultured girl. Hashiba and the guys struggle to see her in action, and they are impressed that the girls could pull off acting out of their personalities. Though Yame is cool, Kashi is getting more of the attention, especially because she's hot and her plot armor is almost on display. She freezes when it's time to serve Renko, but calms down and begs Renko to shut up and not reveal her Onlifen's nickname. While they struggle, Yame shows up and Renko is blown away by her beauty, and they begin to flirt. When Kashi notices the chemistry between them, she cuts their conversation short and smiles, demanding that Renko place her order or get out. As time goes on, the ladies prepare to change shifts, while Shinpei stays back to count all the money the cafe has made. Seeing that they're rich, Keigo wants to head out with the guys, but he gets pissed when he sees that Hashiba is already going out with Yame after now. At the female locker room, Renko prepares to wear a maid outfit and Yame looks forward to seeing her dressed up. This makes Renko feel some type of way, but she settles to catch Yame off guard and fondle her milkers. Yame lets out cultured sounds while it goes down, and her plot size is revealed to all the girls in the end. Up next is Nin, whose plot size is out of this world, and it takes both Yame and Renko to do the fondling. While it goes down, Kashi feels bad because hers aren't big enough, only for Renko to take her by surprise and fondle her C-ranked milkers. Once the girls are done changing, Ayumi and her friend Yukaki speak about going to another school to find hot guys that'll smash them. Akashi listens as Yukaki speaks of an urban legend, where a couple who dance together at the end of the festival will be close forever. Though no one really takes it seriously, Kashi sees it as an opportunity to get Hashiba. Later, Yame joins Hashiba for a while in school, where she learns about a pitfall trap. Apparently, there are 3 traps around school, and those who fall in them get special prizes. Midway through, they stop by an animal cafe, which is a cosplay cafe set up by Nin's class. Though she is dressed as a maid bunny, Hashiba falls for it, but he makes sure to keep his worldly desires in check. After their time at the animal cafe, Hashiba questions Yame about the kind of anime she'd like to be, and she purrs like a cat. Elsewhere, Renko meets Nin in secret to plan how they'll separate Yame and Hashiba and have them for themselves for the night dance coming up soon. The same thing goes for Kashi, as she drags Shinpei, promising to give him a hot chick if he does her bidding. So with that in mind, he goes ahead to drag Hashiba away from Yame, claiming it's an emergency. Yame says she's cool with him being away, but that he should text her when he's done. Hashiba follows Shinpei into a dark room, and when he asks what's up, Shinpei points at a door telling him to have a look by himself. Curious, Hashiba takes a peek, only to find Minoru in there, surrounded by a cult of guys with weird tastes in women. Apparently, they are begging for Minoru to allow them access to buy his spicy drawings of hot chicks, leaving Hashiba to realize that not only sick people exist in the hospital. He doubles down to ask Shinpei what's up with Minoru's cult, but rather than answer, Shinpei tells him to focus and not lose sight of his goal. He then asks for Hashiba's cell phone, and the moment Hashiba reveals it, he snatches it and runs away. Shocked, Hashiba chases after him to figure out what's going on, but he loses him at a corner and gets distracted when Nin hugs him from behind. While she drags him away, Yame stands alone outside and her mood changes when she realizes that Hashiba has been gone for too long. However, she cheers up when Renko arrives, but deep down Renko smiles, knowing that Hashiba is not coming back anytime soon. In the meantime, Nin leads the way to a haunted room, and she smiles knowing that she's allowed to hug him however she wants when she's scared. Once in, she clings to Hashiba and presses her plots against him, but declines leaving when Hashiba sees that she's scared. At some point, Hashiba hears a voice in a room calling out to a mother, so he goes ahead to check it out. Meanwhile, Nin stays back and is shocked to her bones when a figure appears behind her, so she runs away. As for Hashiba, he turns around and sees that it's Kashi, and she claims that meeting there is just a mere coincidence. Later, Hashiba helps her to set up firewood for the bonfire. But deep down, he worries about Yame since they're supposed to dance together at night. Kashi looks forward to having the dance with him, so she panics and jumps on him when she sees that he's done with the firewood. She gets all touchy because it's her first time being on a man's body, but Hashiba brushes her off when he sees Shinpei casually having candy. He chases after him to get his phone back, but when he does, he realizes that it's dead. Later that evening, the couples prepare to dance around the bonfire, and Renko gets too excited since Hashiba hasn't shown up yet. But Yame seems sad because Hashiba isn't around, and to make things worse, her phone is dead. She ends up going off to find Hashiba herself, and Renko chases after her, only to fall in a pit. Finally, Hashiba finds Yame, and he is just in time for the dance. The end. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. But if you made it to the end, I'd advise you to stay focused, keep your zippers locked, and all hand lotions away. Also, if you're into anime recaps like this, check out the next video. You might just goon to it. Peace.